I think Golden State has a chance to win the title in the next 5 years. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of NBA Now. It's your boy Dom, and we're going to get right into things. So, today, first off, before we get into the video, I just want to say, again, thank you guys so much for the support on this channel so far. It's actually been kind of crazy to just see that, people are actually even watching my videos, because I know I said in my first video that I tried to do YouTube before, but people were not as tuned in as they are now, and I just wanted to say big thank you to you guys. If you guys aren't subscribed, I think it's like 95% of you aren't subscribed. Make sure you guys hit that sub button if you like it. If not, I totally understand. If you just want to come through for the one video, I really appreciate that. Now, let's get right into things. So, we are talking about the Golden State Warriors today. The Golden State Warriors. Now, first off, I'd like to put my bias out there. I do like Steph Curry. I'm a fan of his. I have one of his jerseys hanging up in my closet right now. But that does not mean that I'm a Golden State fan. I actually have a good friend who is a Golden State fan, but I am not a Golden State fan. I'm a Denver Nuggets fan. So, with my bias out of the way, I think Golden State has a chance to win the title in the next 5 years. And the reason I give that big of a window is because, well, first off, let's look at LeBron James. Let's take a step back from the Golden State roster, and let's look at LeBron James and how he's aged. Now, we know that he's an outlier as a star player, aging-wise. But as he's aged, his three-point shot has increased pretty tremendously. He didn't really have that three ball when he entered the NBA, right? So his three ball has gotten a lot better as he's aged, and we know what he is. He's still a top player in the league at age 36, going on to age 37 this next season. I mean, last year was his lowest points per game since his rookie year, right? So we're starting to see we've started to see a little bit more regression from him the past few years. Obviously still winning a championship as of recently with the Lakers, so even with that slight regression, you're still seeing that. And I think, a player like Curry, who, as your star player, is going to be shooting jump shots. That's what he does. We know that he's the best shooter of all time, pretty much hands down. If you say Ray Allen, I don't even think Ray Allen is top 2. So, we'll leave it at that. But Ray Allen was not taking that difficulty of the shots that Curry takes on a nightly basis, with the level of defense Curry's given on a nightly basis, because he has to be guarded once he gets to the half-court line. And I think there's only 2 players in NBA history that have needed that kind of coverage, and it's him, and Damian Lillard developed into one of those players as well. If you guys want to know more about Dame and what I think he should do, make sure you guys go check out my Dame to the Raptors video. I posted it a couple days ago, so make sure you guys go check that out. But back to Curry. I think that because of the phenomenal shooter that he is, and that being his primary focus with his game, he is just going to be 33 this next season, and last year was comparable to his unanimous MVP season. So we're seeing that he hasn't had any regression yet. There was I felt slightly questionable how bad his hand was injured, but also at the same point in time, why would you even play at that point if you're just going to lose? So whatever. Slightly questionable, though. But, I mean, that 20-point per game season that he had when he only played, let me see, how many games did he play off? He only played 5 games, and he averaged 20 points per game. Was a clear outlier in this latter stage of his career. We know that he was injury prone earlier in his career, having a 26 game season and stuff like that. But in the last 4 years, although he's not played the amount of games that he did back in like 2014 to 2016, it's not like he hasn't been on the court, and he's been there for the playoffs, so I don't think that that's much of a concern. He's always had ankle problems, so to expect that to potentially still be recurring as he ages, I think it's gotten better than it was early in his career, but to expect it to occur more as he ages, I don't think is a bad thought to have, you know what I mean, to just be prepared for something like that. But his shot's not going to go away, right? Maybe some of his off-ball speed goes away, but even then, you look at a guy like, or you look at a guy like JJ Redick, who, you know, as he aged, his off-ball movement increased tremendously, right? And that's what still, now I think he's still the shooter he was a few years ago, but his off-ball movement has now shrunk the last couple years. But when you look at him in Philly at still, you know, mid-ish, high mid-30s, he was still running around, flying over the court. So I don't see that being too much of a problem for Curry. He's never been like a crazy plus defender. He's been a serviceable guy, you know, not a Trae Young level where he can get picked on super easily, but a definitely serviceable guy at the position. And so I don't think that that's much of a problem. And where that leads me to is pretty much the title of this video on why the youth movement in Golden State is going to bring them more titles. And the reason for that is because Curry, like we just covered, is going to continue to be a good player for years to come, right? Because of the way that he plays the game. And that's going to help him. And with the youth movement, right, James Wiseman's got a year under his belt now. So he's only going to get better. Jonathan Kuminga looked fantastic in the Summer League. And, I mean, this is a guy that last year in the G League, he averaged 15 points, almost 16 points, 7 rebounds, and almost 3 assists per game, right? This is a guy that has really good defensive potential, loves playing that side of the ball, and is going to have Draymond as a mentor. I think Draymond is going to just be the unanimous mentor for pretty much every player on this team at this point. But, I mean, this is a guy that, he's only 18 years old, so he's going to get better as, you know, he'll get to 25, and Curry will be in his late 30s, and, oh, shoot, these young guys are starting to get in their primes, and Curry is still maybe not a unanimous MVP level of player, but still a freaking all-star level player, and now you're getting these young guys in their prime, and that can give you a shot at another championship, right? Or you even look at a guy like Moses Moody, right? Moses Moody, he's almost an assurance policy for if Clay's injury just pretty much takes him out of the league, right? This is a guy that can shoot the ball. This is a guy that averaged 17.5 points per game in college, 6 rebounds, and isn't much of a playmaker, but that's not what you have him for. Steph Curry's a phenomenal playmaker. Draymond Green does very good at his position for playmaking, and so you don't have Moses Moody to be there. You have him to make 3-point shots. And what did he do in college? He shot 43% from the 3. He shot 43% from the 3. That is a guy that is going to come to your team and just fill in. He's going to be one of those guys that when you look, like say the Warriors, I don't know if this will happen. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I don't know if I'd lean on that side. But say the Warriors win the championship this year. If you were to compare the roster of now and their 2015 roster, you would see a lot more similarities than you had in the previous years because they've built back that depth that they drained themselves of when they brought in Kevin Durant, right? And so in doing that, you're seeing all these guys that can kind of help you out. I mean, we're just looking at the 3 main guys in Moody, Wiseman, and Kuminga who have like star potential or at least higher end potential on this team, but that doesn't remove some of the other guys on this roster. I mean, even look at a guy like Andrew Wiggins, right? He had probably one of his better years last year because he got a full year now under the Warriors system. He just came in and he's not expected to be that number 1 overall pick anymore, and he's just playing well. Maybe still a bit overpaid, but that's okay. He got his bag, right? You can't hate a guy for that. If you look at a guy like Jordan Poole had a pretty good year last year. I mean, he was a big part of that Warriors bench, and a reason why they almost made the playoffs last year. Obviously, ultimately losing in the play-in game, but he was a very good contributor off the bench, right? So that's a guy that can help limit Steph's miles as he keeps getting older. Take Steph out in blowouts, put Jordan Poole in, and you still have a very serviceable point guard in there to do something. Damian Lee, a decent shooter off the bench. Juan Toscano-Anderson had a pretty good year last year as well, kind of earning himself a good spot on that Warriors bench, right? Having a good story behind him. And then you even bring in some flyers, like you bring in an older Andre Iguodala to either mentor or still be hopefully a decent defender off the bench, right? He's going to fit in right well. He was there before, try and win some more. And Otto Porter, if he ends up working out well for you, that's a guy that you have this year. So not only do you have, a guy in like Steph Curry, and then Klay Thompson coming back later in the year, and Draymond right now, but you've got all this young talent that is starting to come into their own, or is going to be coming into their own within the next couple years, that just elevates the ceiling of this team. Because, I mean, Steph Curry's floor, I think, there's floor raisers and there's ceiling raisers. And Curry is more of a ceiling raiser type of player, right? His gravity alone raises the floor, but the fact that if you put that next to a star player, that skyrockets the ceiling, right? And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I could always make a video on this. I'm sure there's other videos on floor raisers for ceiling raisers. Like a Westbrook is a floor raiser, right? You can put Westbrook on one of the worst teams in the league, and that team is going to try and fight for a playoff spot. It's that heart that pushes you to just go, go, go. That's a floor raiser. Whereas a ceiling raiser is a guy that the more you put next to him, just the higher the ceiling gets. Or the more the system works for the guy, the higher the system works. Or the higher the floor is, or the ceiling is, sorry. And so, as these guys get better, not only does that help raise the floor because you have more talent on the roster and more, just more good players out there playing basketball, but it means that, we still have to focus on Curry, and so those better players now are being less focused on, which gives them the ability to do even more damage to you because of Curry's gravity that he has on the offensive end of the ball. And so, yeah, I mean, this is not one of the long videos I think I've made. It's a little bit shorter, but I really think the Warriors have a very good future in their hands right now. And if I were them, I don't know if I would want to trade. If I'd want to package all these guys for Bradley Beal or something like that, because you don't know how well that's going to mesh. You don't know how Klay's looking back, coming back from his injury. And if you have to give up Wiseman, you pretty much have no centers on the roster, which, worked well enough before. Although you had these serviceable guys that you could kind of throw in there, and they did something like a JaVale McGee of sorts, right? But you don't have that prime Iggy or, six-man of the year-ish level Iggy to come out there and play that death lineup. Although you have Iggy back, it's not going to be the same. So if I were them, I would not trade their youth for Bradley Beal. I would try and make something happen with it. Maybe a different star would work better if they became available. I don't know if there's one available now or that will come available in the recent future that warrants trading the young guys. I think a Ben Simmons move would be interesting, but him next to Draymond Green would just be a pretty kind of disgusting fit. And if Ben Simmons is going to treat his job that pays him millions of dollars like a hobby, okay, you're making all-star teams, you're good enough to do that, but I would not want to be trying to compete for a championship with a guy that is treating his $30 million job like a hobby. At least that's just my opinion. So yeah, I would, if I were the Warriors, stick with the core you got, keep building it, go for it, try and get Curry another ring, and I'm super excited to see what they're going to do this next season, having all these young guys around Curry, and with that kind of bounce back year that he had last year. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe for more, and I will see y'all next time. It's been NBA Now. It's been your boy Dom. Peace out.